This is for We the People News. Not an attorney, y'all. So don't take this as such. If you need an attorney, call one. Alrighty. This is also not a commerce or a commercial purpose video. I never look straight forward. I always look around me. I'd be able to protect myself by any means necessary. Even if I had to learn things that may or may not be true to verify certain things that may or may not be true. I never look straight forward. I always look around. So, it is what it is, y'all. Alrighty. Let's try to proceed forward on this, y'all.
Can we do? What should we do? There is only one answer. We have to change the system. The people are helpless because if there is a problem, they go to the people who caused the problem. Anita, you just told me the other day you wrote your congressperson, right? Yesterday, to solve a problem, to get help with the problem. And what did I tell you? You're a woman that's fixed other things, fix it yourself. I mean, it's futile to write to these people. They never answer. They don't care. If I had 700,000 people carping at me, I guess I wouldn't care either. There is a problem, and they can't go to the people who caused the problem, the politicians. The American people have never once, as a single body, issued a plebiscite. Now is the time. What's a plebiscite? By an electorate. Okay, let's say that you're going to vote. What are you going to vote for? You're going to vote in a plebiscite. America and the several states which have formed since the inception of the Republic and her people, this is what's on the webpage, have pretended to believe the myth that they can vote and make a difference. The truth is, we were meant to choose our representatives, and each representative could represent no more than 30,000 people. This would have constituted a republic. In other words, a republic being a state in which supreme power is held by the people and their elected representatives, and which has an elected or nominated president rather than a monarch. We, the people, are no longer represented by anyone, much less career politicians. Our freedoms are gone, our liberties encumbered, and we have no chance of voting our way out of this mess and getting back to the republic. You can't vote yourself out of this system except one way. Unless we take matters into our own hands. Not by opting for one major corporation or another. That would be the Republican or Democratic Party. Not by compromising our unalienable rights and living in fear. We must vote our way out. You heard that right. Vote your way out. Our way out. We, the people, have never drawn up and issued a plebiscite to the governments we have instituted among men. We have not used our power. We can't wait any longer, or there truly will be nothing left to save. We are in exactly the same position as our ancestors. We are suffering from taxation without representation. Those of us who attempt to exercise our natural rights have to endure traffic stops, arrests, and bogus charges against us. This must end. I would like every American who is suffering because the rules and regulations promulgated by representatives and legislators to restrict our rights are eating out our substance to stop this abuse. And to top this mess off, a lot of us believe these guys who have usurped our power are about to go to major war again. We're going to war again, against Iran. We're run by hawks. Captain America, our Secretary of State, is nothing but a war hawk. And he wants war with Iran. And that other guy, I don't even know who these people are anymore. Pompeo, I know because my son knew him in Berlin. But the other guy's name starts with a B. Who would that be? That's the one. These two guys, John Bolton, these two guys are going to take our country to war again against Iran. Have you not had enough of that shit? I mean, really? Have you not had enough war? We'll never heal, recover, and have a future when we are kept in perpetual war. Isn't that the intent of the bankers? Where do they make their major money, boys? Keeping us in war and in bondage. That makes money for the bankers and politicians and takes from us, our children and grandchildren. Join us, the lovers of liberty, the believers in the Declaration of Independence, the protectors of peace. Add your name to this plebiscite and issue a direct vote for the American people that will put an end to the war, allow you to keep your own wealth, and let us live in peace and prosperity. Please send this message to everyone you know. This is again what's on the website. We need massive numbers in order to do this. And don't forget to give whatever donation you can afford. I determined that I can't do this by myself without money. It will be expensive to send this proclamation far and wide and convince the professional politicians that their era has ended. Join in, cast your vote, and God bless America. This is the plebiscite. The People's Plebiscite. Unbeknownst to the American people, we became a conquered people after the War of Northern Aggression, commonly referred to as the Civil War. It was not a civil war. The definition of a civil war is two or more factions fighting each other for one piece of land. The South seceded from the Union of States and created its own country and government, the Confederate States of America. The North fought the South to keep that from happening and to force them to be one federal government, not two nations. During this conflict, over 620,000 Americans died. To this day, few understand why the war was initiated and what the outcome was. The War of Northern Aggression was fought to destroy the liberties of the only free people on earth at the time. Do you hear what I said? The only free people on earth at the time, the only people who could own property were here. The people lived, for the most part, in the several states. Those states had laws and operated under rule of law. The war was initiated to destroy states' rights, impose military law on the land, impose perpetual debt, and implement the Reconstruction Acts on the people of the United States of America. What we now have is an occupying military government where the will of the conqueror governs. As a result, in the ceded or subjugated territories, all laws which forbid treaty violations with foreign nations or which forbid the granting of rank and titles or commercial privileges in conflict with the supreme law of the land are abrogated. The North waged a war of aggression and thus committed a crime against peace. We are and now have been under military occupation since 1863. William Whiting, the Solicitor General under Abraham Lincoln, in his book, War Powers under the Constitution of the United States, states, it has been asserted that the municipal laws of a belligerent territory remain in force propria vigor in all their strength until altered by military orders. But although such laws may have been tacitly adopted or the enforcement thereof may have been permitted, it is not because these laws retained any validity propria vigor. Their only validity was derived from the tacit or express sanction and adoption thereof by the will of the commander-in-chief of the invading army. That's how we're held. We, the American people, are considered public enemies, belligerents, hostile belligerents, and must obey the Constitution, laws, or proclamations of the occupying government. We are considered citizens of the government, and a citizen subject is bound to obey the laws laid down by the government. An alien citizen, however, owes no allegiance or obedience to the conquering government and is not bound to obey any laws implemented by it. An alien citizen, civilian, not citizen, we are not citizens, being under no obligation of obedience, is justified in refusing such obedience. Over an alien civilian, this government can make no constitution, law, or proclamation of obligatory force, because the law of the conqueror binds only their own subjects, and those laws have no extraterritorial jurisdiction. No laws of the conquering government will be enforced upon the enemy until they have been subjugated. When that event takes place, whether it be the result of battles or of returning sanity of repentant madmen, the Army of the United States will then have actual possession of every portion of the United States, and the proclamations issued by the government during the war will be secured to the inhabitants of the country. That's Whiting still. The Commander-in-Chief has the right during times of war to treat local laws as inoperative or to adopt some and reject others, to permit the holding of courts by local authorities acting under military power of the conqueror or to forbid them, and to substitute military courts of his own. Having all the rights of war over the subjugated inhabitants, he has the powers of a government de facto and de jure, and can therefore impose upon them upon them whatever laws or regulations may suit his pleasure in accordance with the laws of war. Congress may modify by legislation the hardship of belligerent rights. Such are the terms and conditions of war, and those conditions are carried out by the occupying army. We, the people of the United States of America, are tired of war. We, the people of the United States of America, are weary of the enforced debt which has been our never-ending burden to carry. The men and women and agencies waging war against us in our own homes, on our own homeland, have eaten out our substance with their use of war powers. We, the people, declare the hostilities to be at an end. We will no longer live in a war zone, and we must indeed declare peace. We will no longer allow silent weapons for quiet words to encroach on our unalienable rights. We, the people, declare peace. We declare Lincoln's General Order 100 and the Reconstruction Acts of 1867 and all succeeding acts of war repealed, nullified, and void. We declare the 1040 bond repayment at an end. We declare the war on poverty, the war on drugs, the war on terror, and all the scores of other wars perpetrated on us by the occupational government to date, repealed by this plebiscite of peace. We are a creator-loving and peaceful people, and we will no longer be subjugated and separated from our rights. The unalienable rights endowed to us by our Creator, the rights which have been the bedrock of this nation since the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. Whenever any form of government becomes disruptive to the people who instituted that government and gave it just powers to operate, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. We declare the war powers government to be abolished. We need not itemize the long list of usurpations of our unalienable rights. We need only refer to the Declaration of Independence, which enumerated the travesties which were crushing the people of this nation at that time, to know that we are enduring an even more ominous and oppressive form of tyranny now. This war powers tyranny will not and cannot stand in the face of peace. Therefore, we the people declare an end to the wars which have been imposed upon us. Further, we who are, you don't have to do an affidavit, we who are signatories of this plebiscite claim and declare executed our rights under the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. We declare poverty, cancer, terror, drugs, and all the other war concepts the victors. We unconditionally surrender but concede no spoils of war to the victors for their surreptitious engagements. We conclude these wars with this plebiscite of the people. We declare an end to any and all emergencies and will not be separated from our rights or our property from this day forward by the implementation of an emergency. We declare the end to tyranny by what has become a democratic government and restore the republic as the rightful form of government. We declare that any man or woman who desires to occupy a governmental office to be bound to the Constitution of the United States of America by taking and publicly filing an Article 6 oath before assuming the duties of that office. We declare any and all debts which have been accumulated in our name to be extinguished. And just as those noble men who came before us rely on the protection of divine providence, and we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honors, the people have spoken, so it shall be. It's a miracle. I now have a website that you can go. And when I am really lousy at social media, I'm really lousy at marketing. It is our job, these people in this room and anybody that sees it, it is our job to get it before the public. It is our job to push this plebiscite. There's on the website, it gives a place to sign the plebiscite and a place to donate. I mean, if anybody, I don't care if it's $1, $5, the donations will be greatly welcomed, and this has to be presented, this plebiscite, when it is done, has to be presented to the Congress as the vote of the people. Someone has to do that. If not me, somebody else. It's going to be hard, it's going to be long, it's going to be difficult. I don't think it will be difficult to get so many signatures. To get them to pay attention will be a little bit more difficult. I think we have a president in place that will welcome the plebiscite. I could be wrong, but I don't think he likes war any more than the rest of us or what's happened. He was too long a businessman to appreciate what's going on now. But again, the fact that we continue to do this, we continue to put forth candidates, pay them money, and live through their excruciating campaigns, go to the polls, listen to all the crap about them on the television set, all the pundit shows, all the stuff that is centered around the restriction of our rights. That's their only job, to go make another law. Code, rule, ordinance, regulation. Every one of those restricts the rights we already have, and I think I've shown you that the supreme law of the land will suffice for anything we have, will it not? This has to be done. I would like 40 million. I'd be happy with 2 million. I would like 40 million at least. Yes, ma'am. I want 40 million. I'll settle for 20. I'd take 2. I want reaction from the people. I want the people to know the truth. The truth is in the plebiscite. People don't know that. They can just read the thing that leads up to the plebiscite and the plebiscite itself to know the truth and set themselves free. We only need to vote one time and it's settled. We don't need all these elections. We don't need all these governments. I think that we can get together and hire a trash hauler. What do you think? Or if we need a street paved, we can get among the people and take up a donation, right? We don't need all of these rules and restrictions that we allow. And every one of those jobs comes with a salary. Every one of those jobs comes with a retirement. These people have, you can see by Cornyn and Perry, how many jobs can they hold in the government to get retirement from? There's no restriction on that. They take from us. They have eaten out our substance. Yes, Tom?
That goes to the local, the county, area. That goes to the local commissioner, judge, who's supposed to share.
No, it goes to the Congress.
But this whole game where they,
Oh, you mean who does it apply to?
yeah,
Anybody who thinks,
it's a total game.
as I said in the beginning, if they claim to be a governmental official and they're approaching you with anything but protection for you and your property, we don't need them. We don't want them. They should get out of our face. The only reason we instituted governments among men was to protect our rights and property.
And my next question I was really going to ask is, isn't this essentially what Brexit was? They had, I don't know if you call it a plebiscite, and yet when the excitement all fades away, the worms come in and take it away.
I can't.
What can we do to avoid?
Well, I'll just have to tell you, like Benjamin Franklin said, we've given you a republic, now it's your job to keep it. I think we've lived through enough of this abuse to know what we should have. I think we're all decent people at heart. I think most people in this country are decent. We can't take from one and give to another. We can't do it. We can't have all these people on welfare. When I lived in Austria, I would see people outside the road picking up trash and whatnot, and so I asked, do you have welfare in Austria? They said, well, we have a means to help people that need it, but we try not to demean them, and we try to satisfy them, give them sustenance, but satisfy them as well. If they get welfare in this country, they work 40 hours at any job they can do. If they were a mother in a home and needed help, she took care of other mothers' children. If they were a war veteran with some shot off, then maybe they could type in an office, but they put in 40 hours a week, so they were never on welfare. They were made to feel like they worked and contributed for their money. We cannot continue to have a welfare nation, because when we have a welfare nation, we have a war nation. And the bankers have us exactly where they want us. I read a thing on nobody understands what happened to the money. I mean, so FDR comes out and gives a speech and says you don't have property anymore, it all belongs to the United States, and you don't have any money anymore, by the way. And it happened to be 1933 he said that. It happened to be the year that in April they passed the Glass-Steagall Act. The Glass-Steagall Act, the Federal Reserve Act died on December 23rd, 1933. And the Glass-Steagall Act was already in place, and the Glass-Steagall Act gave all the profits from the money, from whatever they set up, the Federal Reserve Act, to the Federal Reserve. Where before it went to the Treasury of the United States to buy gold to stabilize the dollar. They gave it to the Federal Reserve on that day. You can't call it anything but a giveaway. And then it recycles. At what point did the Federal Reserve own all the money, or what used to be money, of the United States? About, 1967? They own it all. We operate on somebody else's scrip. That scrip is payable to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve are the international bankers. We have to stop. We have to vote once for us. Not a vote for Beto, not a vote for anybody else. A vote for me. A vote for you. And that's what that plebiscite does. Then we're a country without a government. Then we'll have to figure it out. I think we can probably go through the rubble and make it work. What do you think?
Get nowhere without trying.
Get nowhere without trying. Yeah, you're exactly right. Here's a little tidbit about property tax suits. Everybody has to pay their property taxes or the county will take it away, correct? Well, I finally figured the whole thing out. They sue an in rem suit. An in rem suit is against property. And they very clearly, when they sue for property tax, it says it's an in rem suit. So the debt is against the property, and they notice the person that owns the property that there's going to be a hearing in court in case they wanted to make a claim for the property. They say that they're foreclosing on a lien. Before they can do an in rem suit, the rules are the property has to be seized. Physically seized. Before the county can go to court. That's the little flaw, the fly in their ointment. Let's say that the IRS says you owe money, and they go through that process they go through, and then they put a notice of federal tax lien in public record, like I showed you. That's a seizure of your property. Do you realize that? Do you know that? How? Well, then, no, they have the right to come and take your property once it's under their control. A seizure is the control of the person that's going to take it. They don't physically seize it until after that seizure is put in. That is actually a seizure. I didn't know that. When they put that notice of tax lien in public record, that is a constructive seizure, because you can't do anything with your property with that thing on there, and they have seized it. Whether they take it or not is another thing. But they have the right to come and take it administratively because of that seizure. Unlawful seizure, granted, but still, that's what it is. And when they do an HOA, the homeowner contracted with the HOA to pay homeowners' dues. Like it or not, they contracted. So they have a contract. They don't pay their dues. Can the homeowners association go out and seize the property? No. No. They have to sue for the debt. So they sue for $3,000 in taxes. Then they get a judgment. Now they put that judgment as an abstracted judgment in property in the public. That is the lien. That is the seizure. That's when they seize your property, because you can't do anything about it until you get a release of lien. Where is the lien from the county on property tax?
Same way the IRS lien.
No, it is not. In statutes, it says a lien automatically arises against the property on January 1st of every year by operation of law. That's what it says. That is not a seizure, sir. That's a statutory declaration. Where is the seizure of the property in a county foreclosure sale on property tax? isn't one. They have no enforcement ability unless they run that past you and you're not smart enough to get out of it. And I just barely saw it 2 weeks ago. And I've been at this a long time. But I read so many in REM cases, and every single one of them says the seized property shall. All of these seizures that they're doing to American people on the side of the road, they're taking their money, their asset forfeiture stuff. They can seize the property, but then they have to hold a civil hearing to see if anybody else has a claim on it. And then they have to prove that they have a right to that seized property, that the person owed a debt or committed a crime. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg just gave a second. We have Austin v. somebody or other. The first case I found on an Eighth Amendment violation. The Ginsburg court just gave us another one to pile onto that about asset forfeiture seizure, and you can't do it. You can't seize anything unless you have a contract and you didn't pay, and there's a lien in public record, or you committed a crime, you've been found guilty of the crime, and they take the property as part of the seizure because it was involved in the crime. So all of these asset forfeiture seizures are illegal as can be, but so is the seizure of a property under a property tax suit because they never seized.
For argument's sake on that, people, like for your money, okay? They use the excuse of it being through drug system. According to the database and all that, all the cash has been through some type of drug transaction. That, you know, if they technically test all the money, it's got some type of trace of drugs with it. That's what they say. They also said dogs are 51% accurate, and I think they're full of crap on that. But that's what the government says.
Property. Very first criteria for an in rem suit. Isn't that a kicker?
It is.
Questions?
Anyway, y'all, Diesel with people. It is way past my bedtime. Till next time. Bye, y'all.